Hi everyone, welcome back to Elm Creek and another mod minute or so here on Farming Simulator 22. Today's going to be a little bit of a different video on Mod Minute because we're going to go through my favorite top 10 mods for Farming Simulator. Now, technically there's probably, 12 here, but who's counting, right? So favorite mods are going to vary, right? They're going to vary depending on how you play the game. Some of them make the game more enjoyable, maybe less frustrating. For me, there's mods in here that help me get through things that I am not good at doing, like stacking bales and pallets. Some of them are going to vary too, depending on whether you're a PC player or a console player. Do you do a lot of online multiplayer and you need cross-platform mods? So yeah, everybody's top list, I'm sure, is going to be a little bit different, but this is my list at least I wanted to share with y'all. So let's just get right into it and get started. And again, I'm not going to be doing full tutorials on these because that would really make this video super long. There are really good tutorials out there on YouTube already, and I've done a couple of mod minutes even on a couple of these mods already that kind of highlight them a little bit more thoroughly. But let's just get started with our first one. The first one I love is the Albert Bagsy Paladin Stole Easy Forks. And I mean, this is a super basic mod. It's pallet forks and bale spikes. But the one thing that it does, a little trick it has up its sleeve, is it allows you to enable and disable the collision on the forks and on the spikes. And let me show you an example of that. And again, this is one of those mods that help me because I'm not good at stacking bales and pallets and working with them. I never have been. So here we go. So I'm lifting up this bale of straw, and if I hit my X key, boom, releases it. That's simple. And that little thing right there has saved me so much aggravation because I am just not good at loading things and dealing with these objects. And that's what that mod does, is it allows you to enable and disable the collisions on there so you can easily release them. So when that sticky pallet becomes super annoying, hit the X key, boom, releases it. And that takes us on to our next mod. Actually, let me shut that guy off real quick. Turn on our help menu. And that is not this Fleagle, even though it is a mod. It's actually the Universal Autoload mod by Loki79. And the reason why I said technically there might be more than 10, because I'm also going to include the Universal Autoload extension that just came out that adds the Universal Autoload to a ton of different mods that are in the Giants Mod Hub. So happy when this came out. In fact, let's just take a really quick peek. So this is the trailer that I'm showing you here is this Fleagle. And you can see over here on the left, we see auto load, universal auto load. And the reason why this is super handy, and this is actually part of the recent update, is with some of these trailers, you can change the configuration of them, right? And it was kind of hard to tell which configurations supported the universal auto load. Well, Loki's done us a favor and taken that confusion out of the mix and actually shows us here when the universal auto load is or will be available depending on the configuration of your trailer or even your vehicle. So we can have, those bars on the end or not, and the universal auto load is still available. And it is free. You don't pay for the universal auto load functionality. Now, if we look real quick here on our help menu, you can see that we've got loading a loading filter. It says full only. You can set that to any, which means it will load partial pallets, or you can have it load only full pallets. Container type are things like big bags, Euro pallet, that type of thing. Of course, the unloading side can be changed. Material type is exactly that. It can be, bales, sugar, flour, cake, whatever the mod sees within range will be available on that material type. And I don't believe there's anything in range right now. Oh, it does see the hay. Okay, so it does see the hay, but not the straw. Okay, but the reason why I wanted to show this off is not so much just for the universal auto load part of it. And this is what I love about this mod. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. I like to play I like to play, I wouldn't say super realistic by any means, but I also don't like magical farms, where I can just drive around with the pet with the trailer and have the bales jumping on it. You know what I'm saying? And trust me, I've done that many times, but I would prefer mostly to go out in the field and actually use a telehandler or a wheel loader or whatever to grab the bales. But again, keep in mind, I'm horrible at stacking these things. And even with the Albert easy forks and easy spikes, I would still struggle. But with Loki's mod, I can now take all that frustration away, still do my field work, still feel like I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing in the game, which is, going out, grabbing the bales, but taking all that frustration that I experience with stacking, and there you go. So it's kind of I think even Loki mentions in his mod description that it's kind of a partial cheat. It's kind of a 50-50 blend of, hey, you still have to go out and you can still grab the bales and bring them over, but let me take care of the stacking for you. And I absolutely love that. I think that's brilliant. And I would really miss the universal auto load mod if it weren't in the game anymore. So that's our first two. Let's move on to our third one. And since we're here, we can just hit our escape key and we can go down to additional game settings. And this is the additional game settings mod. Now, this is one of those mods that I always forget that's there. I load it, I enable it on every gameplay I do, and I make sure all the settings are the way I want them, and then I just kind of forget that it's there, but I would really miss it if it wasn't. And there's a lot of different settings in here, a lot of things that you can like adjust for, like camera smoothness inside of a vehicle or outside a vehicle. You can turn on a real, let's see here, a real life clock if you want to. So if I do, I think it's something like that. You can see in the upper right hand corner, it's about 2:10 my time right now. I usually turn that off for videos, but it's super handy to have a real life clock while you're playing games. That way time doesn't, slip away when you're playing Farm Sim for 8 hours straight. In the gameplay side, I find the custom lighting. Now, this can be super handy. If there's a map out there that you really really like, but you find that the lighting is a little dark, or maybe it's too bright, or whatever, you can actually change the custom lighting on that map to your liking. So we can turn off custom lighting, and if we go in and let's see, I don't know if there's anything that's a little bit different. I don't think I have any maps loaded that are super different than what Elm Creek's base style is, but you get the idea. The other thing that I really, really like is the easier engine starting. I'm a wheel and pedals player, so what that allows me to do is it allows me to go over to a vehicle, and instead of having to hit a start button, I can just tap my gas pedal, and voila, the vehicle starts and I'm off on my way. You'll also notice that there's no crosshair in the middle of my screen. That never really bothered me until until I turned it off and I started playing with it off, and now I really like not having it there. So you can turn off the crosshair as well on your screen. In fact, let's see if I can find crosshair right there. And I have it set to partial, and what that really does is it stays off until you come up to an object that you can grab or something where you need to kind of have a indicator there of interacting with that thing in the game. Otherwise, it just goes away and it leaves a nicer looking screen. At least in my opinion, I like not having the crosshair there. So that's just a few things for the additional game settings. Oh, And another thing that I really like about it is the auto start for the game. So this guy right here is set to on, and what that means is when you launch your map, it'll automatically go right into the map instead of sitting at that 100% loaded screen. And I've gotten pretty used to having that around too. And it's just the little things like that that you can adjust that I think make life a little nicer for you if you're into that kind of thing. So that's the additional game settings. Now, while we're in here, let's take a look at the next one, which is the buy production input mod. I think that's what it's called, buy production inputs. So I went out and I bought the oil mill. And let's say, I harvest sunflowers and I harvest canola, so I can certainly, take care of giving the mill sunflower and canolas, but I don't really feel like doing an olive vineyard to get olive oil. It's just not in the cards for me on this map, let's say. So I'm going to reach out and have somebody else provide the olive oil. So what you do is you just go over here to the product that you want to purchase and go down here to buy and say yes. And it will buy any inputs that you are missing or things that you maybe just don't want to have to produce. Super handy. And every time you buy it, it just keeps adding and adding and adding to it. And you can continue to buy until it's full. And the prices, I don't know if this makes sense, but the prices do adjust um, if the quantities vary, if that makes any sense at all. But the buy production inputs for to me is just super handy because it allows you to be able to use production chains that maybe otherwise you wouldn't because you just don't want to deal with certain things like sugar cane, if you know what I mean. So that is, what was that, number 4 maybe? I guess I'm not really keeping count, but I really, really do like the buy production input mod. I think it's fantastic. I guess that'll take us right to our next one, and let's just hop right into this guy right here, and that's the easy dev controls. Now, this thing is huge. It does a ton of stuff. I'm not even going to try to go through it all. In fact, some of it I still don't really completely know what it does, nor do I use a lot of it, but I use this thing so much, especially now that I'm making some YouTube videos. This is just a time saver, an unbelievable time saver. But even for your everyday gameplay, this thing can be super handy. That probably looks familiar to a lot of people, the power tools. And I still load this mod because of just, kind of the quickness of getting into it and quickly turning on super strength or, flight and so on and so forth. Power tools is awesome. This just takes it and elevates it to a whole new level. Some of the things that I use, at least, I guess a couple things I use quite often in here, I would say is occasionally I do use super strength. I do like flight mode because I do like to be able to scan out my surrounding area on my farm from kind of a, that, what do they call that? Kind of that, oh, what's that? Oh man, the name completely escapes me. Drone, from like a drone point of view. Yeah. And you can see here I've got stop time turned on. So actually right now there is no game time moving forward right now. And that can be super handy too when you're whenever you need to stop time, and you don't want to pause the game. You just want to be able to stop the time or stop the clock. Um, you can of course spawn different you know, things from here. You can do, where is this at? There we go, like bales and pallets. Anyways, easy dev controls without a question. In my top list of mods, would really miss this thing if it weren't around. Power tools, I honestly would miss very much as well. But if I had to pick one or the other, I'd probably go with easy dev controls, just because it just gives you a lot more adjustments and things that you can added abilities to the game. All right, let's go to the next one. So this next mod, when I first got it, I kind of used it, but then it's really become like one of my favorites for sure, and that's the store deliveries mod. So a left shift alt and S brings up that circle, and you just place it wherever you want. to have things delivered to. So if we go into our store, let's say you need a bag of fertilizer delivered to your work site. It delivers the fertilizer wherever you place that target at. And as you could probably see in the upper right, it charges you for the fertilizer and it also charges you for the convenience of the delivery, which I think is totally fair. I like it when you can have what some might consider to be kind of cheaty mods, but it's nice to be able to take a mod like that and make it a little bit more realistic to where you would be charged for deliveries. Now, you can use that for anything you can buy or lease in the store. The other thing though, and I didn't think of this at first, and I was watching somebody playing and I thought, man, that's a really good idea. So when you do contract work, and let's say you borrow the equipment for your contract job, right? Go on out to that field that you're going to be doing contract work on, set down your store delivery spot, and then when you borrow the equipment, it'll be sent over to the field that you're going to be working on. And that can be super handy for those contract jobs, that the grass work ones in Bale, where you've got like 5 or 6 different implements. You have to TED and windrow and all that stuff. It'll save you the time of having to go back and forth to the store, have that stuff delivered right to the work site. It's an awesome mod. And you can see here on our map that it does indeed set down another shop icon. And just keep that in mind because I have run into a couple times when I have forgotten that I have set up the store deliveries hotspots, been all the way over here on the other side of the map and had my fertilizer delivered way over yonder. So just make sure that you do the old left shift, alt and R, and that resets the thing and gets rid of any spots that you have set up at all. And that's it. That's it for the store, easy store deliveries. Again, another mod that I use regularly and would really miss if it weren't around, no doubt. So I'm just looking at my list here of what things we've gone through. Oh, yes. Here's one that I actually wasn't going to include, but then I thought, you know what? I think I use the field calculator mod, if not every time I play the game, close to every time. Now, I think I've used it a little less when I'm playing with precision farming because precision farming does change, dynamically how much product you need to put down on your field and how much seed you use. But in particular, if you're not using precision farming, this thing is super handy. And it's also handy when it comes to maybe planning out future purchases of fields too, because you can easily see, each field listed that's in the map and the size of that field, and it obviously shows you, how much lime would it take to take care of that field? Fertilizer, liquid fertilizer. You get the idea. And if you want to know how much seed, hit the space bar and it'll show you how much seed is required for that field. And I still love the field calculator. It's still something that I use regularly. I use it when I'm looking at new maps and considering playing on them. It's just the information it provides is super handy. And if it weren't around, I would really, really, really miss it. It doesn't do anything necessarily, while you're playing, but it's information that's super valuable and just makes life a little bit easier on the farm. So that is the field calculator. Ah, yes, the mobile workshop mod. So the mobile workshop mod, again, is one of those mods that, boy, I would really miss it for sure. Basically, just go up to any vehicle or implement, hit the N key, and you can do your repairs from here. You can repaint even the things that are attached to the vehicle. So if there was a trailer attached or a header cart, for our cutter bar, that would be in the list. And you can repair and repaint. You can customize. So if we wanted to customize our combine, we could go ahead, go right into the shop and customize it from here. And it's just so, so, so handy to have. You don't have to drive back to the shop. You don't have to drive back to the farm. I just kind of consider it as being, I've got my toolbox with me on the job, which I think most farmers do anyways, and that's how I play. I love the mobile workshop mod, and I would really miss it if it weren't around, no doubt. think that's it for the mobile workshop mod, actually. Oh, and just a side note, I'll tell you, whenever I'm done harvesting a field or plowing or cultivating or anything, I have just gotten into the habit of going up to my equipment, doing the repairs right then and there when the job's done. And that way, the next time I grab my combine or my tractor to go do another job, I don't forget. And, the thing is like half broke. Because as you probably know and are aware of, if your combine gets, is it 50%, maybe 70%? I think it's actually might even be less. Anyways, as your combine gets more and more in need of repair, your yield does decrease, and it starts at a certain percentage. I forget offhand what it was. So keep things in good repair, and your yield won't suffer. So there you go. All right. What's left here? Oh, we're getting close to the end. I would say the next thing then, let's just go on to the big wadidly, the big, the big mod, the GPS mod or the guidance steering mod. Yeah, this thing, like to me, it's like, oh yeah, gimme. It's a gimme. That thing is like probably the first thing I enable on every map I do. I'm sorry, guys and gals. No, I can't do it without GPS. I can. I mean, if I had to, I would, but harvesting, I probably would do okay on. But when it comes to things like planting, boy, I've gone down that road. When the game first comes out and you don't have any mods, and you start using what is that thing called, that the old arms that come out on the cedar? I forget what it's called offhand. But anyways, yeah, I've been down that road, and to me, it's not fun. I love the GPS mod. So the GPS mod is something that actually, it's a good thing to show you here using our mobile workshop mod. It's something that you will need to pay for and enable in the shop, which I have obviously done so here. So make sure that you actually purchase that GPS function in the shop before you try to use it. And you can see in the right-hand side, lower right-hand corner there, the GPS is off and now it's turned on. Then we can go into Control S and go into our GPS settings. And the first thing we're going to do is get our auto width done. That's the width of our cutter bar. Another thing I like to check is lines. I like having the lines on initially, obviously, so I can see what in the world's going on, make sure it's set up properly. You can certainly turn your lines off later if they're bothering you, but for now we'll leave our lines set to on. I always use, 99% of the time, I use the A+ heading. And I just leave it at 0, hit enter, move a little bit forward, and there we go. And you can see that blue line that's on each side of our cutter bar there. Yeah, that looks right. And we've got a center line that shows what the vehicle itself is going to lock onto. And it's that simple. And we do in Alt X, you can hear the noise it makes. You can see down in the lower right hand side, what is that, a little wheel icon that's now illuminated. Fire up our combine, and off we go. And that's the GPS mod in a nutshell. It locks you in a straight line, and you're off to the races. And like I said, for me, harvesting would be one thing, but when it comes to planting, seeding, even like rolling and cultivating and different things, sometimes I just struggle with making it's almost like an efficiency thing. Like, you can do it without GPS, but I feel like I'm that much more efficient. Whoops, just reversed him, with the GPS mod enabled. And that's a GPS mod in a nutshell. A brilliant mod, and one mod that wow, I can't even imagine. Can't even imagine having to be without it, on the regular for sure. Gladly pay for that in the shop. All right, what is left here? Oh, I think we've only got one more left. I think so. And that is, let's just knock on over to it. Yeah, and that's course play. So courseplay is one of these things where I would say I try to use sparingly. Not really though. I guess to me, if I have to choose between using the normal in-game AI or courseplay, courseplay wins for me every time. It's just a lot more of an intelligent setup for hired hired helpers. Let's hop into courseplay real quick, and I'll just show you what I do to set it up. So we go into our what is this called? Kind of your job in the PDN, go into our job screen, and we want to create a job. And you're going to want to create our select CP fieldwork, which is courseplay fieldwork. And since we're on the field, it automatically will detect, and you're just going to want to make sure that it outlines the field that you're wanting to set up a course on. And then we're going to go into open our course generator. It will automatically assign the proper width of the tool. It sees only one tool, which is correct. I gave it 3 headlands because I wanted to have a little bit of room to work around. Headlands will vary depending on the width of your tool, etc. But I would say, just pick enough headlands to where it makes it comfortable for the hired helper to be able to, stop and turn around and start up again. I like starting my workers on the center. Some people will start them on headlands. I do the center. I don't think courseplay will destroy crops, even if crop destruction is on. But correct me if I'm wrong there. I normally turn crop destruction off anyways. And then I always go with smooth corners. I don't care if it misses some in the corners. I'm just not that uh, picky about that stuff. If you are, you may certainly want to choose sharp then, and it will make squared corners for you. But I like smooth, and I'm okay with that. It's a little faster, and it just makes it go that much easier and faster. And I've also noticed that depending on how many obstacles are around the field, the less you make it start, stop, reverse kind of thing, the less troubles it'll have getting stuck too. So we've generated our course. You can see here, you can see it's generated our 3 headlands and our full course to get this job done. Then we go back to our tractor. We'll fire them up. You can see that I've kind of started it a little bit here already. We'll bring up our course play HUD. And instead of the first waypoint, now typically I would say first waypoint, which is right over to the right there, our arrow, our starting point. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to start at our nearest waypoint. You can use this little camera or this eye icon to get rid of the course play outline. You can have just the start and the stop icons or the full course. And I've got it set up to nearest waypoint. I click the arrow for start and off it goes. And our hired helper will now take care of this, cultivating this entire field for us. And you're not going to have to. It does a much better job on the ends. You know how hired helpers sometimes leave those bits on the ends, or they just. Anyways, we all know about the challenges of the typical hired helper, and that's why I kind of default to course play for a lot of my hired hand work. I just find that it does, a little bit better job, let's say. And that's it. We can stop our course play guy here, or gal. In fact, not that it's important, but I always like looking at my hired helpers to see, oh, that's me because I'm in the tractor. Ha, that's funny. All right. Anyways, so that is it. That's it, everyone. That is my. Aren't those Kubotas nice? I don't know. Did you all buy the Kubota DLC? I was excited about it. I think it's really cool, and I think Giants does a really nice job in their modeling, and that Kubota DLC is something else. I've really enjoyed that. Looking forward to the Vermeer pack coming up too. And that self-propelled baler, yeah, like everybody's talking about the self-propelled baler. I think everybody is like, yeah, I would. That's worth it right there. That's worth the price of admission. But that's actually coming up in a couple weeks, I think. Anyways, just looking over my list here real quick, I think I have covered my top mods list. There are many others that could have just as easily made the list, to be really fair and honest with you. I what would the game be without mods, right? still be a ton of fun, but mods just extend, you know. To me, mods just, yes, they add some missing functionality or additional functionality, but for me, they also extend the enjoyment of the gameplay. So instead of maybe playing Farm Sim when it comes out for what, 6, 8 months, mods can carry the game all the way to the next version. So God bless mods and modders, no doubt. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please let me know what your favorite mods are. Do you agree or disagree with any of my favorite mods? I'd be super curious to hear about them. Otherwise, that's it from Elm Creek. I'm signing out. You guys definitely take care of yourselves. God bless, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.